Content warning. Today we are going to talk about religion, especially Christianity. It is feedback through the lens of a 2005 Ridley Scott movie that got a second life on Blu-ray when 20th Century Fox remembered to add the movie part back to the movie. All things being equal, and full disclosure, because I know some people have wondered this in the past, my childhood and early adulthood were in the Lutheran Church. Like a true German, I went to college thinking I was going to become a Lutheran minister. Facts. I realized beginning down this path in college that this was not my journey. I thought it was, based on my life up to that point. In college, I spent like literally all of my time in Half-Life mapping and texture art IRC. I modded until the sun came up. Movies with Mikey is the guy in CS Estate from old school 1.6. Illuminati confirmed. So let's talk about my favorite movie, why I gave up on organized religion and became a video game developer. It's kind of weird when you sum up your whole life in a sad sentence. So I say all of this so my liturgical knowledge is given context. Perspective is definitely going to be a key theme here, so we're all gonna put on our grown-up hats. I do not currently maintain a belief in religion or a particular deity, so please color this piece through that agnostic lens. This is a show that has always been about who I am. I don't believe in organized religion anymore, but I support it and its value to communities around the world. The point of this piece: Kingdom of Heaven has the greatest and most impactful director's cut of all time. It's not close, but please argue vociferously in the comments to provide engagement for the machine. It feels like a crime what happened to what was at the time one of the most successful film directors on the planet. He made Thelma and Louise, damn it! Imagine making Gladiator and Black Hawk Down back to back, and test audiences are the thing that takes down your follow-up masterpiece. I'm still mad about this 2005. We're gonna have words. It gets real bad in 20 years, so listen up. Ridley Scott made an impossible to film movie in both Morocco and Spain with a one-of-a-kind writer, a legendary cinematographer, about the pitfalls of organized religion and the goodness of humanity. A movie clairvoyant about the future by pointing the camera directly at the Dark Ages. It's my favorite movie score of all time. The Kingdom of Heaven was with you all along.
We shall work.
Alright, let's tap dance through some lasers and talk about a movie based on real people with religious context that has hyper-focused relevance today. Okay? Okay. It's also a film of impossible scope and grandeur that gives way to even-eyed and furiously mad confidence in a righteous path not taken by the ones wearing the crosses or crowns. Ridley Scott and Bill Monahan set out to make a historical epic with focus on religious conflict. This will not be a light episode. This movie opens in 1184, and most of its arguments you could quote in a modern argument at the Thanksgiving table.
It cannot be resurrected until Judgment Day.
If we do not burn these bodies, we will all be dead of disease in 3 days. God will understand, my lord. And if he doesn't, then he is not God. And we need not worry.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
A film from a filmmaker absolutely at the apex of their considerable skill. Ridley Scott is box office dynamite in the 2000s. Ridley Scott made the sequel to Silence of the Lambs in the 2000s. As directors go, dude was untouchable. And for the record, Ridley is trying to write his Tripoli movie with Monahan at this point, so they think they're going in a different direction. They pivot to a different idea, an obsession of Ridley's since childhood. And between you and me, same bro, same. But they talk about setting a film during the Crusades. So if you imagine a 3-hour epic about the Crusades and Jerusalem, but they decided to let test audiences drive the ship on this one. So inevitably, the film that arrives in theaters is 45 minutes shorter and lacks any of the nuanced depth of thought of a movie about why we fight these fights. Am I gonna get canceled for saying that? We never should have invaded the Holy Land and fought the Crusades? Whew, feels good to say that out loud, and I can because I'm a Neumann. And my German ancestry allows me to critique ancient European politics and imperialism. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why are we like this? Ridley out here trying to ask the big questions about life and existence. Okay, so the Crusades in 45 seconds. The Pope's holy wars. Fighting in a Christian war beginning with the Crusades was a penitential exercise for the commoner to assuage past sins. In simpler terms, you can staff your multiple bloody wars over multiple centuries with the faith of people who will sign up as penance for perceived wrongs they did in life. Talk about the Dark Ages, there is no light at the end of your meaningless, tortured existence. Oh, that made me sad. Pour one out for your homies in the turn of first millennial times, I guess. They had it rough, y'all, for real. Our film takes place between the second and third Crusades. We follow young Balian, once on the cusp of a decent life lived amongst a dire time, and life takes that away from him. We see Balian twist as he journeys to Jerusalem, currently under European papacy rule. Just means the office of the Pope. In the case of why Balian is heading to Jerusalem, it's to save his soul and that of his wife and unborn child. Unaliving oneself has always been frowned upon by the Catholic Church, and so Balian believes, because he is told so, that he and his wife's soul no longer have worth. This in turn, because you live in a small town with a single church, you kinda believe whatever hard and fast rules they give you. True then, true now. And just so we're clear, the internet has a good millennium before it gets developed here, so. And even that will eventually use to make humanity even more fact-averse, so humanity is truly incredible. I mean that. We can destroy anything good. Balian travels to Jerusalem, learned a hell of a lot about how humans operate along the way, and then gives the city back to the people the church stole it from. 3 acts. Bing, bing, bing. Protect the people or protect the ideal. Balian always chooses the people. And the Crusades are an impossible quagmire. Look around you and honestly think about this. How much has changed? Let me tell you a story of a crusade, but this battle was one to find oneself. We open on grave robbers. This is an impoverished world. Their money lives within the walls of the castle, and the poverty lives outside of them.
It seems I've lost my religion.
I put no stock in religion. By the word religion, I've seen the lunacy of fanatics of every denomination be called the will of God. I've seen too much religion in the eyes of too many murderers.
One of the grave robbers, brilliantly played by Michael Sheen, is our main character Balian's brother, a charlatan, a liar, and someone who has no hesitancy robbing a grieving family member. This is not heaven, this is the world. New baby clothes, never worn. So here is the story of Balian, a blacksmith, a bastard, and now the father of a deceased child and a wife that could not deal with the grief of losing said child. So she went as well. Our central question is posed.
What does that say?
What man is a man who does not make the world better?
Balian poses this to his father, though he is not yet aware that this knight came back as a baron of Jerusalem over the castle Ibelin. This is where the focus of our story comes into view. Balian will go on a crusade if it will ensure that his wife and child will be absolved of sin he believes will doom their souls. So he does what we all would do and stabs his brother-in-law and gets his wife's necklace back. Now a murderer running to join a guild of murderers. Balian is unsure about the world, but he never wavers on what is right. Balian and his father's group are attacked by Jaime Lannister, and very few of them survive. Balian survives, his father barely manages to, and Hospitaller is so in control, he bops Balian on the top of the head with a sword because he's having a good time when the battle is concluded. Hospitaller is one of the most important characters in this movie. And in the director's cut, he's literally the linchpin of the whole thing. Flashback 2006, I see the director's cut for the first time on Blu-ray. I'm sort of gobsmacked by this character, Hospitaller,
or Hospitaller if you're nasty,
who was signaled to be an angel of God interacting with the Crusades. He also seems to show and speak for God right when the moment most presents itself. I mean, you can't get literally any more symbolic than talking to a burning bush while God himself talks to you. Ridley Scott is hilarious. This is hilarious. But on a more direct level, a Hospitaller is used to talk directly for God numerous times in the film.
I am outside God's grace,
I have not heard that.
at any rate.
In a film where people are constantly saying,
God wills it! God wills it!
he is applying pressure. This has been confirmed by Bill Monahan, by the way, the Hospitaller being the covert angel keeping an eye on the Crusades thing. Yeah, that understandably is not all about this all-out war thing. This is subtext wholly absent from the theatrical version, as the added time really lets the Hospitaller character breathe. We are all on a journey to answer, who are we? Balian takes justice into his own hands often, generally pushed to it. I think Balian was cool to just sit and simmer in a catatonic glaze for the rest of his days. It was only when he did a murder and was forced to leave that he realizes, yeah, okay, let's go do a crusade, I guess. His dad, who he just met and told off, is all that he has in the world. And his dad dies after a big battle. He knights Balian.
Are you sorry for all your sins?
for all but one,
and gives his son purpose. That purpose is to do imperialism, but it's the Dark Ages, so we're just going to leave that there. He has tactical knowledge, hand-to-hand combat knowledge. He has all the skills bequeathed to him by his father and his band of killers. He uses it to survive an ambush, which was really montage film speak for Balian can fight because the worst men in the world taught him so. Pretty metal, honestly. He chooses to continue his journey to Jerusalem, which is met with further film shorthand. He crashes on a beach and makes his way to the Holy Land. We see Balian put those skills to use, enduring him to a Muslim man that happens to be the second in command of the warring army. This man is a mod. I would make a point that Balian's only friend in the whole ass world is this guy. They save each other's life. It's a fun gag. Balian meets Baldwin IV, the leprous king, and then Baldwin V, his nephew. We see the absolute anarchy between the Knights Templar and the Crusaders within the whole French church. The worst of the Templar are represented by Guy and Renaud. Guy is of course married to the Queen's sister, who has a meet-cute with Balian. We have the makings of a real Quagmire here. So on and so on, Renaud and Guy do some terrible war shit, which in turn starts the war back up. So we meet in the desert. Baldwin IV dies, and his nephew is coronated. His nephew is then killed by his mom. Sibylla takes over the crown. Bing bing, figured it out. In the end, Balian cedes the city of Jerusalem in exchange for the lives of the people within the walls. A lot of people are typing furiously in the comments about how this movie is historically fabrication. I hear you, but I do need you to know that Balian really gave Jerusalem back for the safety of the people in the city. We have a whole section on the real history, but Balian was a real guy. This feels Relevant seeding of land for the good of the people on it? I don't know, just spitballing here and thinking out loud. Oh, what if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. They were doomed when they decided to shoot this movie. Full stop. An unwinnable battle, but as of yet, they do not know it. Movie production is terrifying and generally impossible. Ridley Scott had 4 armed bodyguards following him around while shooting this movie in Morocco. For what it's worth, he does not believe that this was needed, but the world had recently changed and religion was already a lightning rod 4 years on the other side of 9/11. Before they had shot anything, there were a series of fake leaks about this film's series of events basically being Osama bin Laden's version of events or some such alarmist horseshit hell-bent on destroying the world of free expression. Shooting this movie was not a quiet event. My experience is this. In 2005, I go and see Kingdom of Heaven in the theater with my Gearbox bestie Josh Jeffco. To say that Gladiator and Black Hawk Down affected me and my film brain in my early 20s is an understatement. I was hype as hell to see a Crusades movie directed by Ridley Scott. Orlando Bloom was hot off both Pirates and Black Hawk Down. He's the guy that falls out of the helicopter and causes our whole situation, by the way. So everything is lined up for this movie to go to Jupiter at the box office. A huge movie about huge ideas. I remember a strange fuzzy feeling walking out. It was like they forgot to add the movie part around the grand but vacuous war sequences. It pushed crowd technology and war special effects, I guess. But there was a great reason for this lack of film. And before we go any further, it is important to understand who Tom Rothman is. Tom runs 20th Century Fox at this moment in time, a job Ridley has publicly called impossible. Rothman's run at 20th Century and later Sony include Alien vs. Predator, Dragon Ball Evolution, Morbius, Chris Evans' Fantastic Fours. No shit, his freaking Wikipedia page is under review because it looks like a paid advertisement for Tom Rothman. Take of this as you will, but Ridley loves the TV show The Studio? I do too, it's a great show. Ridley joked that the main character who runs Continental Studios on that show, Seth Rogen, is Tom Rothman. I accept this comparison, and this really doesn't all come down to Rothman. It's an issue they've been struggling with for much of the production. There are 2 shooting versions of this script floating around where the editor of the film had to keep 2 edits going through much of the editing process. A pox on your house, 20th Century Fox. You managed to ruin the theatrical version of a movie for so long that the real version of the movie would really only start seeing the light of day recently? You wanted to upset no one, but I'm pretty sure the only person who was big mad about this forever was me. Oh, shoot. Speaking of upsetting, Ridley made a complex film. One where the character next to our main character, Sibylla, must struggle with the needs of the job, being the brother of the king of Jerusalem, the leprous king. As the king would not have a son, his heir was Sibylla's, the child of a loveless marriage with a draconian villain. And this boy, Sibylla's son, Baldwin V, is the nephew of the leprous king, also named Baldwin, some relation. In a story that runs parallel but rarely interacts with our main plot, young Baldwin learns that he too will grow up to be a leper, and when his mom finds out, she euthanizes him. It's horrific, it's complex. Sibylla loses her damn mind as a result of it, so the next we see of her, now the queen, she has received every desire she ever had, but lost the world as a result. It is, to me, the most powerful and impactful story in, movies. It is texture unlike much of anything in cinema. You were all already doomed. a fight from behind the scenes for a throne that truly was never even theirs. It runs straight for the heart of what this movie is sweating from their very brow. What is God not okay with? We watch Balion's faith be stolen from him. It pillaged from his soul. Bill was going whole hog with Ridley researching a screenplay about Napoleon for a movie they were trying to do called Tripoli. This is a film that 20th Century Fox greenlit 3 separate times. He hung out with Bill Monahan while filming Matchstick Men, and Tripoli falls through, I don't know, a 4th time, and Ridley's Napoleonic Dreams would go back on the writing table for a bit. Ridley was already pretty sure his next film would be about the Crusades. Bill had the same obsession, chance that. Turns out that Baldwin, the leper king of Jerusalem with a face of silver, was a particularly haunting discovery in Bill's childhood. It all started there. The whole production was about a boy. They had 2 versions of the script for shooting, one with young Baldwin, one without. With boy, without boy. Yeah, they were really labeled like that. Look, storytelling is a complex and beautiful shitstorm. They went through filming this movie 2 separate ways the entire way through, all knowing they were probably going to have to kill their darlings at the end of this one. Balian was a real guy. He really ceded Jerusalem to Saladin. There is so much artistic license here that What Did Kingdom of Heaven Get Wrong About the Crusades video probably won't dive into the nuance of. They gave Balian the story of a hero in a movie, not that of a privileged young man who inherited Jerusalem from his dad, that he definitely knew. The real Balian was born in Jerusalem, lined up to take over Ibelin from his father. So this movie takes some artistic license, but the license is artistic for a reason. Bill Monahan was a reporter first, not a screenwriter. He worked at the New York Press and Maxim. When he writes a novel, Lighthouse, a Trifle, a book the New York Times raved about, he skewered everything according to them. Next up to skewer, organized religion. The goal was to say something about armed combat crossing paths with geopolitics through a lens to the old world, to say something about our current climate. When religion drives the wars, they sure do seem to be a lot of wars because nothing ever truly resolves. Making a movie, especially one about historical events, can be a complex untangling of strands, and I think this is what was most shocking to Scott and Monahan. The Knights Templar are unambiguously the bad guys in this movie. They cause it all. Renaud de Chatillon and Guy de Lucien, a dude who tried to kidnap Eleanor of Aquitaine once upon a time, like the real guy did that. An unambiguously self-serving couple of bad guys using religion to collect power and wealth. Really puts Assassin's Creed in a whole different light, honestly. Sibylla, real person. Baldwin V, real kid. He was coronated when his uncle/stepfather died, and he as well really died for mysterious causes right after. This is my favorite kind of historical fiction. Fills in the blanks of the people so other humans see the people inside of these massive conflicts. In the center of it, it's always flawed humans wrestling to prove who is more correct about supernatural occurrences. Balian really gave Jerusalem back to the Muslims after everyone around him had stolen it in the first bloody place. Balian was really the Lord of Ibelin, and he really knew Sibylla so well that he carried Baldwin on his shoulders at his coronation. Balian in real life really did not like Guy de Lucien in real life. He was, however, born of the high place to a father who was a ruler, certainly not a knight. There is always artistic license in material like this, but honestly, between you and me, I don't think anyone in the 1100s would be a particularly good hang in real life anyway, so let's just call it what it is.
Or whether it's Saladin saving the lives of thousands of people as after he's defeated Jerusalem. These are gestures of humanity, and I think that's really what, if anything, the film is marinated in, is that sort of human soup. And I hope that that's what shows. I hope that that's the big impression that people get.
Just to reiterate and make expressively clear, I support your belief in the religion of your choosing. I do not believe religion should be telling people how to live, especially when those people don't wish them to. We are a human soup, and we are all just trying to exist. There is one really clear through line through the entirety of this movie. People in all shapes, in all faiths, proclaiming God wills it, generally to justify the most depraved crimes imaginable. They added an angel interacting with the story just so you would have a clear understanding of the morality here. God's not on their side.
There's your religion. There's your Moses. I did not hear it speak.
It does not mean that there is no God. Your duty is to the people of the city. I go to pray.
For what?
What is to come?
And what is to come?
The reckoning is to come for what was done 100 years before.
I additionally think the scene in the climax where Balian turns to the fair-weather clergyman and says,
Then he is not God.
it is in response to already dealing with the relentless assault by Saladin to reclaim their land. When the new Crusaders, aka the Third Crusade, violate the terms of this peace at the end of the film, aka fucking around in Damascus, they find out. And round 3 is all about Richard the Lionhearted, by the way, who appears at the end of our film, the son of Eleanor of Aquitaine, landed it! The Templar can't! Saladin is there to reclaim Palestine after the Crusade. Freaking killer sequel idea, honestly. Look, if anyone even sees this video because I'm talking about a conflict from 1100 years ago that'll definitely set off some sponsor censors, I'll be amazed. We can talk about it over a beer at a convention sometime and you'll tell me your strange and difficult journey with religion as well. I appreciate y'all being here and listening to me bloviate about the micro expressions breathing from within humanity. Our desire to simply understand. Why are we like this? Okay, so ignoring the reality of the world and looking at Balian as a character in a film, Balian has gone through losing his entire identity to complete his journey to Jerusalem to assuage his sins. Just to be literally questioning God, to cede the Catholic seizure of the region to Saladin. He does this to save the people inside of the walls of Jerusalem. It's a beautiful expression of the goodness of humanity. Saladin is the leader that brings the Muslim people back to Jerusalem. The reality was a lot more complicated, but the purpose of film is generally not to titillate you with violence, but use it as a thematic expression of caution. So let's get literal. The kingdom of heaven in the title, as it is used here, is to describe the time period in the future where all religions can live on the land together. Muslim, Christian, Jew, or those with lapsing beliefs, it shouldn't matter. Heaven is peace. And this is super interesting because this kingdom of heaven, it's accomplished multiple times throughout the film. The kingdom of heaven is achieved. Hell, Balian takes some shit land his dad pawned off on him and he really turns it into something. A place filled with peace and hope. And most importantly, water. I knew there was no way to not get into the weeds when you were talking about a movie pulled from current events some 1,000 years later. Here we are, a human soup just sitting on the table wondering how it all went so wrong. Why are we like this? Maybe we were just made that way.